Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Guys on Sports. Week 9 is in the books. Week 10, we are full speed ahead. It's just about that time in your season where you need to cut off those loose ends on your bench, start getting some guys on there ready for the playoff run, some high ceiling guys, some home run hitters that you're hoping pan out. Hope you guys are doing well in your fantasy leagues. Mark, how'd you do this week?
It was, I don't know, man. I'd like to do a little bit better. I think I was middle of the road. I like to have at least 2/3 of my teams in the dub column. My home leagues did great. I think I clean sweep across the board in my home leagues. But again, my big leagues, the couple teams suffered.
Yeah, I bet. Because you suck. No, you don't suck. I'm just messing with you. But I am pretty excited. I had a good week. All the home leagues won. I made a bunch of trades in multiple leagues this week. There was one league where I needed to win this week.
Yeah.
For it to make sense. I had already made the trades. So I needed it to happen.
That was your league.
It happened, yeah. I needed that to happen.
I needed you to win, too, because your brother was ahead of me in the standings.
Yeah. He told me he was pretty pissed off about that. Yeah. So things are looking good. We made moves. We're looking towards the playoffs. We got a lot here for you today. We're going to do wiretap, but today we're not doing our waivers like we normally do. It's about midseason. We're going to talk about our fantasy MVP and LVP. We're going to do fantasy primetime. We'll touch on 3 games there, and we'll take you to single-digit saloon. Mine hit this week. Did yours wind up hitting or no?
Did yours hit? I thought all of ours got crushed.
Did mine didn't get crushed. It may have hit. It may have broke late.
Who'd you have?
Tariq Hill.
Oh, yeah, it broke late.
Yeah, what he wound up with. Because I had him at like 9 points in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, he ended up with I think 2 big catches after that. I think he ended up with 14 or 15.
That's not
positive.
Good. We were close.
Yeah.
We almost got there.
Mine was an absolute dumpster fire.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
120 yards, 2 tutties.
He went off.
Absolutely ridiculous. He carved up Denver.
I mean, he's been proving us all wrong all season. I think we were all kind of waiting. I thought it was going to be overhyped, the move to him to Baltimore. Yeah. I'm a pessimist that way.
And then Rocky missed out too. Rockies was who was it? The running what running back did he have? Because I want to just share the banter that we had with Rocky regarding this. Because we all know Rocky's got some bravado about him, right?
A little bit.
Let's see.
Just a little bit.
Oh, it was J.K. Dobbins. So we were going back and forth saying who we had, and I was making light of mine. I was like, I was like super fucking close with mine, right?
The cursing,
Yeah, my bad.
Yeah.
Super close with mine. And Rocky said he had J.K. Dobbins. He's like, I was wrong. But only because he scored.
Right? Yeah, well, that's part of it.
That's part of it.
Ridiculous.
Right? And then he's like 58 yards for JK. Well, immediately on cue, JK breaks off a huge tutty run, and he went up to 98 yards with 2 catches and 2 tuds.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, I guess it's not just because he scored now.
Rocky.
Hysterical. Only because he scored. Part of it.
He's crazy.
That's part of it, Rock.
He can never be wrong. Okay, but you know who could be wrong? We could be wrong. We've been wrong. But this week, we're going to be right with our fantasy MVP and LVP. We're moving on to wiretap. All right, so like I said, wiretap this week. We're laying off the waivers. We'll be back with the waivers next week. Hopefully, there'll be some more meat on the bone there. But we're going to talk about our most valuable players and then our least valuable players. And just to qualify this, I'm going to say, and this is how I thought about it. I don't know about you. You tell me if you approached it differently. But I looked at it as value. So, I'm not picking RB1 here. I'm picking based on where you drafted him. Correct. And where he's at. That's who I'm slotting here, and vice versa for the LVP, right?
Yep, your most valuable pick.
There you go. All right, so Mark, you lead us off. Who is your most valuable player at the halfway point?
Right out of the gate, Jared Goff, 100% is my MVP.
Okay.
Why? Because if you went quarterback late, Goff was one of the guys that you could target very late. So now you're pulling off. If you're in a 2 running back, 2 wide receiver, 1 tight end, 2 flex league, you're getting 7 studs up front. You're waiting on quarterback, and guess what? Jared Goff paid off. Jared Goff, they put a ridiculous stat up on Sunday regarding Jared Goff. Did you see it?
I've seen a bunch of ridiculous stats.
Last 6 games, 28 touchdowns, 24 incompletions.
Yeah, I did. I heard that today. Yeah,
He's got more touchdowns than he does incompletions in the last 6 games. That's
pretty nuts.
Insane. This offense is a juggernaut. They are playing for real. No matter where he looks, he's got somebody open, whether it be Amon-Ra, Laporta, both of those backs, super dynamic. Jamison Williams comes back from suspension, I think, this week. You know, it's just that offense is just built to move, and Jared Goff is showing why he got the Rams to a Super Bowl, right? Yeah. I mean, didn't win it, right? And that's the reason why they went out and they traded him for Stafford straight up, thinking that, you know, Stafford could win him the Super Bowl, and Stafford came in and did. But I tell you what, man, I think Detroit's about to really, it's going to pay off for Jared Goff.
They're on their way, and I'm anxious to see. I was kind of monitoring today. And by the way, happy Election Day, happy NFL trade deadline day. I was wanting to see if they were going to go make a move for edge rusher, because I think they need it.
Yeah.
Like, I think they need it to win in the playoffs. Like, they're going to need a guy that could close, get good teams off the field in the playoffs. So I haven't checked between work and coming here.
Yeah, I don't think Detroit made any significant moves.
It's not great. I was really hoping we traded with them, but whatever. You know, I wanted to give up Aziz Ansari because we're going to probably let him walk at the end of the year. But all right, but I love Detroit, and I like the Goff pick. I do think he was one of those value guys who I tend to target, or, you know, save QB as kind of a value position for me. I never really go high in drafts on quarterbacks.
Yep.
So I got a great guy here. Alvin Kamara is just like, talk about turning back the clock.
Yeah.
And look, and you know what? There's a trend here. I think for years we've been talking down the running back with their value in the NFL, and then just in fantasy as these guys get older. We've been talking Henry to death basically every offseason the last 2 years. Alvin Kamara, Saquon Barkley goes to Philly, kind of looks better than he ever did with the Giants. I think there's a few other, J.K. Dobbins, after all the injuries. There's been a resurgence lately with the running backs. I think Alvin Kamara, to me, though, is probably the brightest spot. I have him in 2 home leagues. This is a guy that was ADP RB19.
Yeah.
Right?
He was going 3rd and 4th round. If you draft
overall
early.
45, yeah. Overall, the 45th player off the board. And, man, he's RB2 right now in most standard PPR leagues. It's just, it's crazy, because these are the kind of picks where you take your team, a guy that you take as an RB2, maybe even a flex coming into the season, and you plug him in, and he's basically carrying your team week to week. And, man, prayers up for Raheed Shaheed and Chris Olave with a concussion that looked very scary. I do have him on another team, so I didn't like seeing that. But the cards are falling in place for you and your team if you have Kamara on it for a playoff run here, because there's going to be even more volume for him, because there has to be, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's just great, and it's a real home run hit if you were able to get him and not, you know, go grab Travis Kelce at that spot.
Well, you know, and I think we did a really good job, right, of saying that during the offseason. And as we all know, I am a big advocate of drafting early, right? I start my drafts a couple weeks after the Super Bowl. This is why. This is exactly why. You can win leagues with a guy like that ends up producing. So I have a team that was in the hunt. It still is in the hunt, but you have to either win your league or you get in on points, and then it kind of resets with your average of the year as your starting base. And then it's 3 weeks of overall points, right? Just to kind of set the tone here. This team was at the top of the leaderboard in overall points, hitting 2nd overall at one point before Chris Godwin went down, because Chris Godwin was another value guy that I had gotten on that team that just worked out perfectly until he went down. But I have a team that I went Jonathan Taylor first, came back in the 2nd round, Saquon Barkley, and got Alvin Kamara in the 3rd round.
That's incredible.
Man. So to pair those 3 together, and, you know, albeit Jonathan, one of the reasons why I didn't do well this week, Jonathan Taylor had a pretty down week.
Yeah.
But as we get later into the season and fantasy playoff push, I mean, you're talking about 3 guys that are absolute true bell cows.
Yeah.
These are guys that they're going to get 25 touches as their teams are looking to get into the playoffs. And again, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I love drafting early, because as long as you can have a solid plan, stick to the plan, it can pan out, man.
Yeah, and what's great, I'm going to close this out, but you mentioned Godwin, and I was thinking while you were talking, it's like I have a team where I drafted Kamara and Godwin on that team. And what's great about that, especially if you're in redrafts, is if you make those picks, those are guys that when Godwin went out in PPR format, he was wide receiver 2.
He was a monster.
Kamara is RB2 right now, right? Yeah. So those are 2 guys that you got. Their value was way below that. So you were pairing them up with a guy like Justin Jefferson that you got in the first round.
Yep.
I mean, and that is how you compete, along with making and that's why we stress the waiver wire, those waiver ads. And we said Kate Otten 3 weeks ago to pick him up. He's been a top 5 finisher the last 3 weeks. I think he'll continue to be, even when Mike Evans comes back in week 11. But you pair a guy like that with these 2 guys and then your other studs. I mean, this is how you win a league, and drafting early is great.
If you watched that game last night, that dude is uncoverable. I don't understand how he was getting open like he was like a dynamic wide receiver 1.
He looks good. He look. It's not even just like volume. It's like he looks good. They're drawing up little screen outs for him to get the ball. He almost had a second touchdown if the ball doesn't slip out of Mayfield's hand late in that game.
Well, that's just it too. And he had to wait on that touchdown from Mayfield. He beat his guy by 7 goddamn yards.
Oh, you're talking about the first one?
Yeah.
I'm talking about the second one at the end of the game.
So ridiculous. I didn't see
Mayfield,
that one.
They wound up scoring, but the play before, Mayfield, it's a speed out. Throws it, slips, it goes to Allen's ankles, but he had his guy beat. The ball's at his waist. He's scoring a second touchdown on top of the 8 catches and the whole thing. Yeah. All right, so fantasy LVP, who's your least valuable player this year?
This is easy. This is very easy because you spent a top 3 running back pick on him, and that's Breece Hall. Breece Hall, for the value that you went out, the draft capital that you spent on this guy, he was going no later than the 5th pick overall in almost every league. He is just not producing, man. And as this offense strengthens, I figured, all right, Breece is going to get off the schneid. He hasn't done it. Maybe you catch a break. Maybe somehow you're on the fringe. You're on the cusp of the playoffs. You eke into the playoffs, and New York kind of shifts their game plan a little bit and frees Breece, frees him up a little bit more with being able to spread the ball around to Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson. Maybe that opens up running lanes, but you still have another problem in Braylon Allen right behind him.
Yeah.
I can't trust them. I truly, the few teams that I did draft them on, I don't feel, it's not cool when you don't feel good starting your top 5 pick.
Yeah, that sucks.
I mean, that should be slant. That's the guy that like you don't even think about. It's automatic. He's there.
Yeah.
And the only reason why he is because of where you drafted him. That's the only reason why he's automatic in your lineups right now. If you had to do it on production alone, he is not automatic.
No, he's not.
He's not. You're considering sitting him for guys like Nick Chubb. You're considering sitting him for guys like Kareem Hunt.
I'd be starting David Montgomery over him right now without even thinking about it.
That's what I'm saying. It's very, very tough. And to play him in your flex, I mean, if you have a hardcore wide receiver 3, I mean, you're perplexed to even flex him at this point, man. Yeah. So for me, it was easy. He is definitely my least valuable pick this year. I think a lot of people got burnt on Breece Hall. I'd be surprised to see the end of the year numbers when they crunch and figure out what draft slot and who it won the highest percentage of leagues. I guarantee Breece Hall is nowhere near that.
Yeah, I guess we were a year early. We called for his demise last season coming off the injury. He looked good down the stretch. I'm sure a lot of teams have been hurt by Breece Hall this year. I don't need to pine over that. I wanted to go in a different direction and go with a wide receiver. I could have easily went with another running back. So I went with A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown's ADP was wide receiver 6. Overall, the 10th guy off the board. He was staunchly a first-round pick coming into the season. He's currently sitting at wide receiver 37. He is basically a low-end flex. And part of that, on a point-per-game basis, it's not that, but he is injured, and I do factor it in because you didn't get to play him those weeks. But I will say this. My problem with him is he's become, for where you drafted him, he's way too touchdown dependent. The games that he doesn't score a big TD, he's averaging around 12 to 13 points. He's just an average guy that you could, one of these guys you could pick up on the waiver wire, plug in your flex, and get you 10 to 12 points. If he's not getting one over the top, he's just not dominant in the way some of these other wide receivers were talking about, where they get that target share, that pass game is, hefty, and you could just count on them to make 6-7 catches for X amount of yards and not have to rely on a touchdown. So for me, with the hype, with A.J. Brown and this Eagles offense, who does look good lately, but I still feel like, Brown is a guy that you still have to start, but I just don't know week to week if he's getting me 13 or 23.
This offense firmly runs through Saquon Barkley now.
It does, yeah.
We were wondering who was going to suffer. We speculated maybe Devonta Smith because A.J. Brown is just too big of a name to not get the ball to, but we're seeing who it is. It's A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown is suffering. Devonta Smith is beating his men. Devonta Smith is still, he's not as productive as he was, but I mean, Saquon is putting up, I think he's averaging like 25 fantasy points a game right now.
That's nuts.
Yeah, I think he's got to be the RB. I haven't looked at it in a while. He's got to be the
RB2 or RB1. I think Henry's RB1.
Oh, yeah, that would make sense. So then Kamara is what, 3 then?
Kamara is...
Or maybe he's 2 and
no,
Barkley's
he's 2
2. Or
Barkley's 3, yeah. Yeah, he's just become way too touchdown dependent for me. Like I said, if you look at it game logged, the games he doesn't have that 50-yard touchdown, he's getting you 13 points.
Yep.
And everything we just said, I think it's important to I'm going to reestablish something we said over the summer, is that you need, when you're taking these guys high, if it's a running back, get the handcuff. And if you're taking a wide receiver or a pass catcher high, get a compensatory guy that goes with them. Like Cade Otton, I'll bring him up again, for me was a savior because I lost Godwin and I had Otton, and Otton benefited, even though you hate to say that, but he did benefit from Godwin. So what I lost in Godwin, I'm getting that production out of the tight end spot from Otton. So if you have a Justin Jefferson, you're not going to get Addison, but pick the guy, stash him on your bench that would see playing time if he were to go down. You got to, you have to have insurance for a guy that you take that high. You can't take James Cook in the second round, not have Ray Davis.
Right.
You have to have him, right? So keep that in mind when you're taking these high picks. With that in the bag, we're going to move on to fantasy prime time. All right, so this week on Fantasy Primetime, we have 3 games to highlight. We're going to be talking Broncos at KC. We're going to be talking Jets at Cardinals. And we're talking about those 49ers we just mentioned against the Bucks. We'll start with Broncos at KC. We're going to draft from those teams. I think we each take 3 because Rocky's not here. And we're going to omit the quarterback, so it's all skill position players. It could be a defense if you want to get crazy. But we'll pick, and then we'll see who wins.
All right. Who's we Rochambeauing?
You go first.
All right. Let's see. Broncos at KC. I think I loved how they came out of the gate, really firing to Kelsey to turn back the clock. I think I got to go Kelsey first overall here.
Okay, Kelsey first overall. I don't hate that. I probably would have went there too, but I'm going to go with his running mate right now, who looked every bit of 27 years old last night. I'm going with D-Hop. It looks like he looks reinvigorated.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes looks happy to have him, and you've seen that he can still make plays. That catch he made in triple coverage, I mean, that's what separates a guy. I know about 50 guys that would have dropped that ball and would have looked stupid doing it. He makes that catch. He knows where to be on the field. I like D-Hop.
Hands are to D-Hop what hips are to Shakira. Them hands don't lie, baby. He looked great.
You're right.
All right. My second pick, Broncos got a pretty staunch defense. I will say that.
That's right. Take their defense.
Except Henry did light them up. So I'm going to go with Kareem Hunt.
Kareem Hunt is not a bad pick. Kareem Hunt is not a bad pick, and I want to look up a number here.
I was super surprised. As we know, I picked Derrick Henry in my single-digit saloon, thinking that he wasn't going to get it going against that Bronco defense. Boy, was I wrong. And thankfully, because I have Derrick Henry in quite a few leagues, but I guess it was like reverse psychology manifest destiny right there.
Yeah, I guess. I think Henry's is crazy. He has a chance to hit 2,000 this year.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so I like the Hunt pick, but I'm going with a guy that I invested on early in the season, hasn't been paying off lately. I'm happy to see it. I'm happy to see Bo Nix actually looking like the Bo Nix everybody thought was going to be something. I'm going with Cortland Sutton. Over the last 2 games, Cortland Sutton, 15 catches, 222 yards, and a touchdown. They look like they've finally got on the same page. Payne's letting him throw the ball. Sutton, who I got for a deep discount, I like him here.
Not to mention, Cortland Sutton is a very physical receiver, and we don't mention his name enough being one of the top receivers in the league, and that's a shame because he's had nothing but trash quarterbacks to work with.
That's true.
Throughout his career, right? Much like a George Pickens. It's really cool to see these guys get unlocked when you bring in a capable pass thrower.
Fair.
That's a good pick. I'm also going to go over. I'm gonna go play in Denver here.
You're going to mosey on?
I'm going to mosey on over to Colorado. I'm going to take Javonte. I think you want to talk about a guy that looks pretty reinvigorated. Javonte Williams looks pretty damn good this year.
He does.
There was a point where he wasn't producing. They thought they were going to sit him for Jaleel McLaughlin, and he said, "Oh, contraire." He said, "Watch this." And he busted out a huge game, and since then has not looked back. He's putting up very, very respectable points in the fantasy column. Javonte Williams, my 3rd pick.
All right, so I got a few places I could go here. None of them are great, but I think I do have the guy I want. I just want to make sure they don't have somebody in front of him on the depth chart.
And
they
Troutman.
Don't. No. I could go there. All right, so in spite of not really, I'm going to go Juju Smith-Schuster here. And the reason I am is because before D-Hop came into town, he was the guy getting targeted a bunch. Xavier Worthy has seemed to become an afterthought on this offense right now outside of gadget plays.
That was terrible last night.
That was real bad. It basically knocked. I mean, they look like they were going in to score. But yeah, give me Juju. I still think that when I don't know if he played. He didn't play last night, right?
I don't think so.
Yeah. So he's questionable coming into this next game. I expect him to be back, and I do still think he'll get targeted. Mahomes threw the ball, I think, 44 times last night. I think we'll continue to see them use the passing game more now that they got Kelsey back on track. They got D-Hop in the fold. I think Juju is going to benefit. He's not going to be a stud, but I think he's going to be a very fine flex fill-in. So give me Juju Smith-Schuster.
Yeah, Andy Reid doesn't play with that either. I mean, Worthy didn't even get a college touch in on that ball. And I mean, he was wide open, both feet out of bounds. Absolutely uncalled for.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Just no spatial awareness there. All right, so I guess we're moseying on right into our second game.
Moseying on.
Right?
We're the New York Jets at the Arizona Cards. All right. I'll go first here.
You are.
We got Jets Cards, no quarterbacks involved. And we're definitely not going with the guy we just talked about. Man. Tough. I'm gonna go with Garrett Wilson.
Yeah, you can't go anywhere else.
I'm gonna go with Garrett Wilson because I think methinks they found something. And I do think he'll get a little bit more attention off of last week's performance, but guys have to respect Devontae, and Garrett Wilson is gonna reap the benefits like we talked about. I like Wilson.
I'm gonna go with his running mate. I got to go with Devontae Adams. I mean, I think they're going to have to pass the ball in this game a bunch.
Yeah.
I think, obviously, Garrett Wilson put on an absolute clinic last week. And Devontae, as he gets more and more comfortable in this offense, is also going to reap the rewards. So I think they're both going to have a pretty decent game here against the Cardinals.
All right, don't look now, but the Cards are in first place in their division. They have a chance to win this division, as crazy as that sounds. Coming into the year, we didn't see that, but they need to put their hard hats on. They need to win a tough game against a team that thinks they have a chance now. Give me James Conner. They're going to run this ball right up the middle of that defense. I like James Conner a lot.
That is a bold call, my friend, because if there's one thing the Jets do, well, that's not true because they do pass defense very well, too.
Yeah, well, their run defense hasn't been stellar as of late.
I think it's getting a little better. I think the Williams brothers are starting to get their act together.
We shall see.
All right. Well, I mean, again, you just can't pass up talent, right? Projected talent. So I can't pass up Breece Hall here with the 4th overall pick. I got to take Breece Hall.
Is that the fourth overall pick?
Yeah. Yeah, you went first. Wilson, Adams.
Okay.
Connor Hall.
All right, so I'm going to go back on the other side of the fence, and I'm going to go with a great guy, Trey McBride.
Yeah?
Yeah, give me Trey. I want some more Trey.
All right. And I guess I have nowhere else to go here.
Sounds like it.
Other than it's going to be a hell of a juicy matchup with MHJ and Sauce.
Sauce doesn't look the same right now, I'll tell you that.
He doesn't, but MHJ has not looked like MHJ either. So I'm a little worried there. I think I'm in trouble in this game here. I think he might have won this.
He's no Malik Neighbors, I'll give you that. All right, so on to our last game in sunny Tampa Bay. Those Bucks looking to rebound from. I mean, let me just say this. I have a lot of respect for the Buccaneers. Mayfield out there making it happen, looking like the divisional round when he was with the Browns, and just thinking to myself, wow, how stupid is Rocky for not wanting this guy on his team?
Right.
Now, I was telling my wife, I said, I wish the Giants would have went and signed this guy and all. Please, he would have won that job easily.
Yeah.
That's the kind of guy you want. He fights. He's out there with a bunch. I mean, Jalen McMillan was out in that game. We're throwing the Sterling Shepard on one leg, and K-Dot, and God bless him, he looked great. And he went toe-to-toe overtime in Arrowhead. I don't care what they're calling it now, against Patrick Mahomes. The Bucks showed some friggin' fight. They got the 49ers coming into town. The first pick is yours. I think I know where you're going. Yeah, it's going to be I don't know that he's playing this week.
He's playing.
They have 3 weeks to activate him, but go ahead.
He's absolutely playing. So they opened the window for him prior to the bye week, and he is full participation in practices right now, chomping at the bit. We got Captain Achilles himself, CMC. He's going to run buckshot in Tampa.
They said that the injury was an overuse injury.
Yeah, tendonitis. Achilles tendonitis.
That's not great.
It's not, but you know what? He doesn't care. Because it's week 10. He's here to save everybody's season that invested in him with the first pick. He feels bad. Yeah. I talked to him. Said I'm sorry.
Good to know.
I didn't mean to be out 9 weeks.
That's good to know. All right.
You took me first overall.
Shut up. So I'm going with the hometown team here. And
bold move, Cotton taking Otten in the first round.
I don't know if I'm taking Otten, but I feel like I gotta. I mean, let's be. I mean, I gotta go Kate Otten here, man. I'll be honest with you. I was tempted to go running back. We'll talk about that, I'm sure, very soon. But yeah, I'm gonna go Kate Otten. He's been the most productive guy on this offense the past 3 weeks, and for good reason. He looks great. Baker Mayfield trusts him, and the guy is just a rock. We're talking about almost 2 back-to-back games with double TDs. If you don't love that, you don't love America.
I would agree. Everybody loves some TDs. All right, I guess I think the person who's probably going to benefit the most from loaded boxes is going to be George Kittle. I think George Kittle is just going to destroy the middle.
Okay.
They're going to...
Come on, man.
They're going to load the box, and he's going to destroy it. George, the box destroyer Kittle, number 2.
I don't like what you're doing. All right, so Kittle at 2. All right, so Rashad White looked good.
He did.
But I think Bucky Irvin looked better, even with the toe. And I like how Irving looked in both the pass game, the run game. He looks great cutting.
He was very elusive on kickoff returns.
I'm going to go with Bucky Irving here.
Okay, I'm kind of glad you did because is Debo dead?
Debo is questionable.
I'm still going with the San Francisco treat, clean sweep, CMC, Kittle, Debo.
You may have
Finish
two
it
guys
off.
not active.
That's fine. George,
So, I mean, I respect what you're doing, but
George Kittle will get it done by himself.
there you go. All right, so my last pick here,
Sterling Shepard.
I'm going to say, I don't know that what's his face is going to play. What's his name again? CMC.
Yeah.
I'm not sure he's going to play. And if he does, he's definitely on a snap count.
So you're going Isaac Guerendo?
I'm going Isaac Guerendo. I think he's going to get a lot of love. Jordan Mason still has the AC sprain. They have him. Thank you, Siri. They still have him listed here as questionable, but an AC joint sprain is not anything to play with. I imagine if he does suit up, he will be on a snap count and very easily re-injure that. Guerendo's looked good in short.
Serviceable.
Yeah. I expect him to be part of the game plan. I'll take Isaac Guerendo.
I might not need CMC or Debo.
Yeah, you might be good. Yeah, Kate Otten's going to outscore the whole team. Kate Otten for president.
Bold statement. He's scary delicious.
He's super delicious. All right, that's Fantasy Prime Time. And now it's time to move on to our favorite and our most accurate segment, the Single Digit Saloon. Single Digit Saloon, man. So basically, if you've never seen this, we're just going to pick out one of your stud fantasy players and say, hey, this guy
Sucks.
he's not going to be great this week, okay? So, Mark, I'm going to let you go first because I have to pull up my notes here.
All right.
But who do you got? Who's visiting the Single Digit Saloon?
You know who's visiting?
No, I
this, to me, seems like a no-brainer.
Yeah?
Not that Dak looked good when he was in there anyway, but now it's an even more severe downgrade in Cooper Rush. Who is going to de-benefit the most from this?
De-benefit.
De-benefit? It's CeeDee Lamb. He's going to be affected here. Cooper Rush isn't going to be able to get him the ball as effectively as he should. Obviously, they're going to try to pump the ball into Lamb. I just think that this is an easy, let's just smother this guy and get after Cooper Rush and make Cooper Rush beat us. They're going to have to depend on guys like Jalen Tolbert, the newly acquired Jonathan Mingo. I don't think Zeke if he's back from suspension and Uncle Rico Dowdle. I think those are the guys that are going to have to go out and win Dallas this game. I think Dallas this season is effectively over if it had ever even begun.
Wow.
And CeeDee Lamb this week is going to be in the Singy DG Saloon.
Okay, I don't hate that.
Sipping on some Moscato.
All right, so my guy is going to be the Wonder Boy that everybody loves right now. And, hey, I love him too. I wish that we were able to trade up and draft for him. But Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels playing that Pittsburgh Steelers team this week. And I'm going to tell you a few things about the Pittsburgh Steelers. They've allowed under 100 yards rushing by QBs total this season. Jaden Daniels has hurt a lot of teams with his elusiveness and his ability to scramble and pick up yardage. If you've had him started on your fantasy team, you loved it. It's been great. I don't know that that's happening a bunch with the edges that they have out in Pittsburgh. There's a reason they've played Lamar Jackson. There's a reason nobody has rushed for over that amount of yards completely. They're holding teams to under 15 points per game. So we're not talking about, a bunch of touchdowns being scored in this game, and they are fourth overall against the rush. So we're talking about a pretty stout front seven, great edges. I think it's Jaden Daniels is going to get probably his true welcome to the NFL.
Yeah.
Not saying he's going to have. I don't expect him to look terrible because he shows pause. I think he's going to be in this game. I just don't think we're expecting the superstar performance this week is what I'll say. So, Jaden Daniels, Single Digit Saloon, welcome to the NFL.
I agree with you. I mean, this is your mama Steelers. This is what you grew up on. Just smash mouth,
Football. Yeah.
Mike Tomlin has got that defense playing incredible. Yeah. He's got that offense humming for as well as a Pittsburgh offense. I mean, they looked like crap on paper.
Yeah.
They were looking at Najee Harris and Jalen Warren splitting duties. Freiermuth took a down tick with Justin Fields. Pickens isolated. Now look what's going on.
Yeah.
Now they all started playing very well with Justin Fields there. You bring in Russ. Who would have thought? Talk about turning back the clock. Russ looks like old Russ, man. And he's getting Pickens in situations where Pickens is just showing his athletic ability.
I've picked up Russ in a couple leagues as a guy that I may start, that I think could pop off for the last few weeks of the season here. And there's a reason. I never thought he looked, in Denver, his numbers weren't terrible, but it was pretty obvious that Sean Payton and company wanted him out of town the minute they walked in. I think they sabotaged him a bit. Yeah. There was stuff going on with his contract. They needed him to not play. There's a bunch of stuff going on there, but through all of that, he never looked like a mess. They just weren't very productive, but his interception numbers were down. He was throwing touchdowns. I think he threw in the 20s touchdowns the first year with Peyton there. Now you get him with a coach like Tomlin. He performs well when they plug him in. He had the bye week. They're going to have 2 weeks to get him like really going with the offense there. I expect him to look really good.
Yeah. Mike Tomlin he's not limiting him. He is living up to the billing. Mr. Unlimited again.
Mr. Unlimited.
He is
unlimited diarrhea.
He is dangerous.
You remember that when he was talking about his dog or something?
Yeah.
Said unlimited diarrhea.
He is Dangerous again.
Dangerous. All right. Yep. That's Single Digit Saloon, and that is the show, guys. If you like the show, please like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Go to our socials at GON Podcast. Like, subscribe, and follow there. Go under the video. Say Mark Stupid. Say Rocky Stupid. Say I'm a genius. Hey, we're spitting out gems there all day, every day. Our Patreon's linked. Go there. Follow us. Just support us. We need the support. And check out the lives on TikTok every Sunday. Help you get ready for your matchup. We love you. Peace.
Don't forget to vote.